Got the best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmet's casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Take your tech. Oh man, shit.
All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another DFS Army podcast. We are breaking down the Daytona Road Course Truck Series event. Brake pads or something. BrakeBest Select 159. Taco is with me, the GOAT of NASCAR, to break down this Truck Series event for Draftkings. Draftkings is the only site offering this particular event. What's up, Taco?
What's up? Not often you get to see a 159. We go from the nice, neat 500 to the 159.
All right, so let me understand the 159 for a second. That's 159 laps. What is a road course? Is that 2.5 mile?
This one is, it's about 2.5, I do believe.
Okay, so it's a 2.5 mile road course. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming there are 44 laps in this bad boy. Did a little quick math in my head.
Yeah, so this is 3.5 miles, actually.
Oh, shit. 3.5 miles. Okay, so in fairness, I didn't actually do the math in my head. I just saw a little number on the research station that said 44 laps.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we used to only have one road course we would go to in the Truck Series, and it's Bowmansville, or Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So it's a lot of what we have to go off of. Of course, this track debuted last year with COVID. We thought, okay, we can't go to many of these you can't go to Canada, obviously, but they still want a road course race. They opened up the road course in Daytona, and they had all of the series debut basically here last year. And last year's races, a lot of what we have to go off of, you'll be able to see on here, the 2020 Daytona road course stats going to be pretty pivotal to our research, although you'll see that they lined up quite differently. This year is the year of the place differential as far as a Truck Series goes. Lots and lots of good guys starting 30th or worse. And you'll notice from last year, almost everyone that started 30th or worse was an actual scrub last year. So it's going to be a completely different race fantasy-wise last year.
One of my favorite tools on the research station, guys. So and Taco has taught me this over the years, so I'm going to repeat some shit that you assume that people know, but they don't.
Yeah.
All right.
The thing is, this tool is actually much more helpful when you have multiple years to go off of, but since we only have one this year, might as well go off of the 2020 Daytona Road lap by lap and just see exactly what happened. Since there's only one race to look at, you might as well look at the full breakdown here.
This one is harder for me to read and comprehend. Yeah. So why don't you break down what I'm looking at here on screen? So you've got each drive. I just look at the driver rating. Why do I need to know the lap by lap? Tell me what's the benefit to me?
Well, some guys that were knocked out, you can see how they were doing before they ended up getting knocked out.
So
some guys had a lot of success.
Let me fully understand this tool here. Here's lap one, right? Wait, can you see my cursor on screen? Hold on, let me make this larger. No one wants to see my face at this point, so I'm gonna make this larger. Here's lap one, right? Yeah. So Zane Smith starts out on lap one, fucks up the first curve. We've seen this. We saw this in the Daytona.
Classic rookie.
Rookie. There's a turn that comes up when you're off the pole. That's hard to take when you don't have any sort of, I guess, other cars around you, so they fuck it up here. So he messes up his first turn, boom, drops to 19, and eventually finds his way back up to 7th, drives up second place, little drop off again, and so this, so we're showing this is lap by lap data. So it's showing, okay, this driver starts in 3rd. That's Brett Moffitt, finds his way to 1st. At some point along the way, drops back down again, makes his way back up, pit stop, et cetera, and winds up in 2nd place. So that's, is this showing us essentially that, like, Todd Gillian, for example, looking great, crashes, boom, done?
Mm-hmm. It definitely shows you that Sheldon Creed there was absolutely relentless, and he won emphatically.
Yeah, well,
started 14th, immediately almost top 3. Took him a few laps. I mean, he was by far the best.
I mean, I can get this data. See,
Yeah.
I can get the same.
Most of it right here.
Yeah, I mean,
else.
the first thing I look for is, all right, so let me break this down and let's do a little basic overview for everybody who's watching first. Now, guys, here's the basics of NASCAR DFS in general. There are 3 ways these drivers score. One is lead laps, the other one fast laps, and the most important, your final position and place differential, right? So dominators are drivers that are in first place, taking first, lead laps. The problem is in a race with only 44 laps, when you only get 0.2 points for a lead lap, unless you led the whole race, you're not really even piling up that many points. Now, Taco, when I'm leading the race in a road race, am I also getting fast laps? Does that happen?
You will be, but with only 44 laps, that's about the lowest amount of laps you're going to see all season. So place differential plays are just going to be massive. But, like I said earlier, some of the best plays in the entire slate are starting 20th or 30th or worse. You got, Moffitt, who was the second primary dominator behind Creed last year and was the winner at Bowmansville the year before. Obviously one of the best at road courses. He's starting back in 21st. So
Gillian, who looked pretty good last year at 32.
Mm-hmm.
Friesen, 30. So
you've got Wonder Kid himself, Mayer, starting back at 36. He's going to be wildly popular. You got a lot of guys just in new spots and new rides. You got, Riley Herbst coming back from the Xfinity Series. He'll be starting back there in 25th. Lots of examples. So a lot of guys you don't know too much about, but they're in really good equipment, like Jet Nolan in Nice equipment, starting back in 35th.
So I need to know, equipment isn't the only thing though here. We need to understand who's good at. So for those of you watching that haven't done a lot of NASCAR, the difference between a road course and every other course is you're turning left and right on the road course. The other courses you only turn left. So it's a little swervier, and there's a lot more driver skill involved in a road course probably than in your standard 1.5 mile oval. Would you agree with that, Taco, or is it a different skill?
Yeah, it's a skill that's hard for people to master. Even we've already seen this track being raced out once. If you recall, the Clash was raced here, and even the NASCAR Cup drivers had a lot of problems with it. They could not stay out of the dirt. Ended up looking like a dirt race by the end of it. You're gonna see guys get penalized for missing bus stops and stuff. It's especially with some rain potentially in the forecast, could be a wild one.
There was crazy amounts of dirt kicked up in the NASCAR one that we saw. It was like weird, and I was like, what the hell's wrong with these people? And also there was a whole lot of just drivers going in the dirt, drivers kind of hitting these little, hitting the corners a little too hard and kind of flipping the car up a little bit on the corners, and penalties for spin outs, or common spin outs. So you kind of lose your positioning with the spin out.
Returns, etc.
One interesting thing about a 3.5 mile road course that you have to drive slow is like how long is a lap? A lap takes like a couple minutes to complete. Yeah. So each lap is long.
And they don't throw the yellow flag for anything. If you spin out, there's a chance that you are just screwed. And they're not going to throw the flag for you unless it's something massive.
No, because, especially if you're towards the back of it, it's going to be multiple minutes before the pack comes back around to where you are. So you're just like...
You're losing laps, but...
Yeah,
everyone will stay on the lead lap, but those guys will get wildly separated, especially by skill, wide skill gap here.
So with that being said, and that's really, really critical, I think, every driver's like pretty good at a 1.5 mile oval. That's like, it's tough to say like, oh, this guy's great at 1.5 mile ovals. They're all fucking good. That's like the most generic thing there is.
Supposed to do. That's like Austin Hill's best skill set.
Being good at like
not quite as much, but
I want to know who's the best at road tracks. Who is the AJ Allmendinger? Like, who are these guys? And the way what I did, and I'm going to tell you what I did. I want to know what you think about it. I just go right over here to recent road course stats. This stat right here. I'm like, Brett Moffitt, 128. That sounds pretty good. Shelley Creed.
He would be the de facto The best. He's almost always up there competing. Gets the most lead laps, fast laps, etc. But Sheldon Creed, of course, last year he was just the best at everything, and that's going to continue into this year. Is the best at this track, even outed Moffitt, but he's starting 5th. Moffitt's starting 21st. Moffitt's going to be the much more interesting play to take here because he has that place differential baked in that Creed just doesn't have. But for early dominators, you would expect Creed to. You'd probably expect Rhodes to lead this race for a few laps, and then Creed takes over, and he might even lead the whole race. I mean, Sheldon Creed is just that much better than everyone else at this point.
His salary was way higher last year for this specific race from what I saw in the historical. Like he was like
back too.
Yeah, he was like 4K above every other driver. So Sheldon Creed is clearly.
He was only 9,100 actually.
What did I say? I saw 14K. Oh, you know what? It must have been that must have been a typo. It said 14,000 and said 10.4. Maybe that I saw somewhere. It could have been a typo or something. Or maybe I might
10.4 here.
Maybe my brain was dyslexic. I flipped it. That probably was it. All right.
Down, flipped and reversed it. Who knows?
Yeah, it's very possible. So a couple other. So as I go down the list, so the first thing I always try to do is I'm like, all right, I get it. Here are some studs, right? They're all starting back of the pack and whatever. And I also always know that one of the best ways to know who a good play is just to look at your ownership projection. But one guy that stood out to me, Kaz Grala, my boy from Daytona, right? Is he considered a good truck driver? Is he a road course ringer? He's got this long-term. Let's see, where was it? Kaz Grala, 127 long-term road course. Is he?
Here's the thing.
What road course was he on?
He came 3rd at Bowmansville in 2017. Here's the thing with Grala. Grala steps in for Austin Dillon. Remember, Austin Dillon hurts himself. Steps in the Cup Series in Austin Dillon's car. Last second, starts like 10th. No one plays him. Dude finishes 7th. Very good road course racer. He's 30-1 right now at $7,100. Starting back in 24th. Do not sleep on Grala. I think a lot of people will be very aware of this, but being able to step into was basically his first ever Cup Series road course race and impress the way he did. That's definitely something that gets my attention. And he's not as good of equipment, honestly, being in the Young's number 2 Chevy. That's I do believe that is Tate Fogelman's car from last year. Yes, it is. And you can look at how Fogelman did last year as kind of a reference to see how he'll do, but I think Grala has much more talent than him. There are a few guys that have switched spots here. You notice John Hunter Nemechek. It's his first year back in the Truck Series. He's a former winner at Bowmansville back in, I think, 2016. His runner-up last time he went to Bowmansville. Should be up there. He's in that number 4 truck, Kyle Busch Motorsports truck that Rafael Lessard was in last year, and even led a few laps in that truck. Got a few fast laps in that truck. Of course, Rafael Lessard now in that number 24 GMS car that we saw get handed out to multiple people last year when Chase Elliott was not driving it. And
Lessard is really interesting. I mean, he's got the big number. He's got the 116 track history driver rating, and here he is for kind of like a cheap price, and he's not starting that high.
Different equipment though, but yeah.
Can I trust the number? Because Chase Elliott's truck was pretty good too.
Yeah. It's not that big of a difference, I would say. Because the GMS equipment is going to be good. It'll be in the same, the same owner as Creed's cars. Of course, won the race. So
starting a little high though at 12. That's not the sexy place differential play that I'm really hoping for. But I think that it's a combination of place differential and finishing position that's going to rule the day here. Like if you're finishing second or first, it doesn't matter so much where you started. It probably doesn't matter that much where you started, really, if you're up in the front at the end. But I think that
took a shot at him top 3 on DraftKings Sportsbook at 7-1. He came 30 last year. Equipment's pretty similar, if not better. I mean, why not? It looked like a good shot to me. I thought that number was a little off.
One of the things I do when I'm when I'm optimizing for this type of race where dominator points aren't as important and there's so much place differential, again, with these guys who are good, all starting 36, 30, 32, 26, like these are good drivers that are in good equipment that are starting really far. But Austin Hill, what about at 20? So what I tend to believe mathematically is that really you can only get one dominator that winds up in the nuts lineup. So when you look at
gonna be Creed, in all honesty,
it's probably going to be Creed.
There's no one else even starting in the top 20 outside of it. Could be Nemechek, could possibly be Nemechek. We've seen that in the past.
Yeah,
but
these other guys, even Lassard could get there. It could be Lassard.
I think the most common lineup type will be Brett Moffitt as the dominator starting 21st, and then just all guys in the back. That makes way too much sense.
Which is why the version of a lineup with Shell and Creed in it has uniqueness. So that, I totally agree. So just looking this over, but mathematically, and also Nemechek. So the first rule I do is I just do no more than at most one dominator, because just looking at the breakdown here. Oh, you have them all written? No. Okay, hold up. We
set it. We set it when we like here.
Yeah, I'm going to set some dominators here. So, I'm going to consider these scrubs dominators just for the point of disallowing them more than one of them. Because again, guys, as you're watching this,
probably up through Ekis.
Yeah, mathematically, they're just not going to get there. It's like, basically, if you think about this, 12 goes to 4th. Very nice. He has a nice score, but it's like not going to compete with 20th or 22nd or 27th, like these guys, even getting up to 15th or 10th. So it's just not going to get you there. So I'm happy to only have one of these guys in my lineup. Definitely don't want this. So yeah, you think all the way up to Ekis?
Yeah.
I'm going to include Jennifer.
It's probably going to be a good play.
Yeah, I don't want too much of this.
Differential and all that.
Yeah.
You could probably leave him as a no.
Yeah, maybe I'll leave that off because Ekis could probably be played on his own. So, the first move is sort of to make sure we just don't want. They're not going to come in your lineup anyway because they're not projected well.
Multiple losers in our, not losers, but multiple people with highly capped upside.
You look at some of these other projections like, Kaz 48, 44, 52 for Ankrum. You see these really high projection numbers. You're not going to get those other scrubs in your lineups anyway. So let me just go through this a little bit with you here and kind of talk about some of the best plays down here at the bottom of the group. So Sam Mayer, what's his deal?
So he won at Bristol last year. He just turned 18. He was finally old enough to really drive. He's going to be one of the names to watch going forward. A lot more short track oriented, but still, starting 36, that's kind of eye opening considering the equipment he's going to be in. He'll definitely be someone you got to look out for. He's in Parker Kligerman's truck that he would usually drive, which is always pretty good.
How brutal is the carnage in a? I think the truck series is always a little more carnagey, but how brutal is the carnage in a road track compared to standard?
There should be plenty of carnage, and that's why it's not like a lock. I would not lock this guy in. He's a rookie. We kind of are looking for some more of your veteran type plays. That's why a guy like a Moffitt is so appealing this week. Your veteran types are definitely going to be the ones that stick out as far as safety goes.
What's the carnage rate?
36.
What's the actual carnage rate on this thing?
We only have the last year to go off of, and last year they kind of lined up about according to skill instead of we have this year where so many good guys are starting in the back. I don't know. I'd look at the carnage rate usually by looking at guys' top 30 and top 20% rate of the guys who are, you'd expect to come up front. We lost some guys like I think Gilliland last year kind of got wrecked out. We really only saw a few cars not finish, towards the front like they were supposed to. We saw Ty Majeski kind of get knocked out, Spencer Davis, but not really the biggest of names. Most of the top drivers ended up finishing on the lead lap, even though some of them were way far back due to penalty or whatever. But potentially some rain in the forecast this year. I don't know. If we had more years to go off of, it'd be a little easier to figure that out.
I mean, historically, just give me we know that Daytona, not, the super speedways, they're crashing all the time. They're bunched up together. I've watched a lot of these road races, and, it's a different style of racing. You tend to, when you're passing, it's very dangerous in a road race. Like, that's when it's hard to pass. It's really thin and especially around the curves. And it's by the way, guys, this is an awesome race to watch. I like watching these road races. Like, I'd say super speedway number 1 for me, road races number 2, and then like the standard NASCAR less fun for me.
Don't forget about short tracks. Short tracks, what's that?
Yeah, the short tracks, and then your 1.5 mile oval is like my least favorite type of.
Oval is my least favorite, honestly.
Yeah, it's more boring, right? Kevin Harvick takes the lead. He leads for 400 laps, and thanks for nothing.
I would say that this race is going to be full of a lot of micro carnages, not like the big, race-ending carnages that we saw last week. A lot of guys spinning out and just getting screwed. A lot of pit strategy, that sort of thing.
So, I mean, when I'm setting up my, let's say, all right, for one lineup, I think I just would kind of lean towards the projection system itself. So I'd probably lean towards just kind of looking at, hey, who's popping the most? Okay, no, Kaz Gralla, Gillian Moffitt. I can't believe a lot
of plays to choose from as well. So there might even be some room for some guys who are expected to do well, starting a bit far back, but might go lower owned due to there being so many options back there.
Well, you got Jeff Noland here. He's projected really well. I don't think it's hard. I never heard of any of these guys, but Tanner Gray. Here you got Todd Gillian, really projected very well. Stuart Friesen is another guy who's projected really, really well. He's starting 30th. So these guys have a lot of floor. Yeah. Like, they have a hard time. These guys will have a legitimate hard time not scoring well because they're good and they're starting in the back. Even if they crash out at some point, not crash out, but like spin out and have to kind of go to the back, they have a good chance of making their way back up towards the front. And you see that a little bit here when you look at the lap by lap, where you're like, oh, this guy spun out, here, this is a crash, right? But you see these other situations where somebody kind of pops to the back and then makes their way all the way back up. It looks like Johnny Sauter last year did that. So the better drivers will just drive their way back up to the front, even if they spin out or get a penalty or something. So the cream kind of seems to rise to the top in this thing. Is that pretty common? Is that something to expect?
Yes, definitely. And then, your more experienced guys are less likely to make flubs that send them back. One play I'm kind of looking at a lot, I think I'm going to have a lot of this guy this week, is Tyler Ingram. So he was only 4% owned last year, spent most of his time running around 5th place. About half his laps he spent running the top 5, and over 80% of his laps spent running in the top 10. He's a guy that just goes under-owned every week, and his price is so high. I don't see a lot of people picking him starting 26. They're all going to gravitate to the guys right underneath him in price. Gilliland starting 32nd, Friesen starting 30th, Mayer starting 36th. Those are all great plays in and of themselves. I think for leverage, though, I'm going to take a little bit of Tyler Ingram here, as he actually ran really well last year in this race, and those guys absolutely did not.
I'm just checking his historical. No, I need to see his fucking ratings, man. I want to see what kind of driver rating he gets. 95
rating. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. It's not spectacular, but it's not bad considering. So what happened to him last year? Did he crash out towards the end or something?
No, he finished 6th last year. I mean, he was very steady and consistent the entire race. That's kind of what I'm looking to see.
Why is Todd Gillian's rating so shitty?
Because he crashed.
Okay, so that's a specific thing that harms your rate. Crashing, it does count. Friesen also really bad ratings, and he doesn't look like he crashed. So what's the deal? We're all going to be loading up on this guy who's not that good.
Finished 18th, 11th. No top 10s for him at road course races, but starting 32nd. That's why everyone's going to be playing him.
Yeah, so not an all-in play. So these are, with all of that place differential, I kind of want the really good drivers starting in the back. I could probably not necessarily have to load up.
I mean, he's in pretty good equipment, but it's not as good of equipment as he had in years past. The Kyle Busch Motorsports equipment. It's been kind of shifted around, given to other people. And now he's with basically Front Row Motorsports, David Reagan's team, the ones that he would do spot start in, that 38 that he was in last year. Yeah, just something to keep in mind there. And then you've got, of course, Friesen. It's kind of similar. He actually he ran like crap all last year in this race and ended up squeezing out a 10th place finish at the end. He would be a little more appealing than Gilliland starting at 30th, but I see a lot of people going to Gilliland. His odds are significantly better. And I just see Ankrum kind of getting left out there. And
yeah, I mean, look at this. Ankrum,
for obvious reasons.
This is another really, like your cheat code, guys. I mean, if you need a cheat code, you just look at the odds, right? And, pro tip, lower number, better, right? So,
yeah,
Shelley Creed, definitely the top guy here. But, again, no one's going to play John Hunter Nemechek. He's second in the line. Brett Moffitt, I think, is probably the best play of the entire slate. And if I needed to go all in on one person, it probably would be Moffitt. Yeah, I think that's where I would go for the all-in play. Austin Hill starting 11th. Wait, where's he starting 20th? He's also got a good starting spot. So, he'll be lower owned.
Yeah, Austin Hill, definitely more of a 1.5 mile track kind of guy. Didn't get any fast laps here last year. Really doesn't get many at all in general. I mean, you'd expect him to move up to the top 5 probably. It seems about right. But his upside, he does not have anywhere near the Dominator upside as you expect someone like Moffitt to have or Creed.
I'd get some exposure there, but for a guy like him, he's starting 20th. When I can get some of these 30th and 35th place guys instead, I'm going to lean that way. I think just from this group here is much more interesting to me, starting way back, and then I think the next area that we need to focus on is like this group in the middle here, also starting back. So from these middling drivers, first of all, there's not many ratings to go off of, right? These guys don't have a lot of history here. So
yeah, and they're almost all in different equipment now. Cross, a newer driver, he's big up and coming name. Started off here last year, ended up wrecking out, but you do have Timothy Peters, who is a veteran of the series, came fourth at Bowmansville. Back in 2018, I think it was the last time we saw him at a road course race. But he used to be in some of the top equipment. Now he's coming back in. It's hard to judge a lot of these guys' equipment now, the guys that are in new equipment, because last week we saw them at Daytona, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Like Peters did phenomenal last week at Daytona, but it's hard to tell exactly how well he'll do.
When you say
odds-wise, he's right there with like Sauter, right there with Parker Chase.
Yeah, I mean, now Peters. Are you saying Peters did well in the road race?
No, the road race was in Cup.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't care what the hell Daytona. He did. I don't give a shit what he did in a super. That's a totally different man. You don't turn right. You only turn left.
I know. I'm saying that's literally all we have to go off of with the new team.
So let me ask you about Timmy Hill. Does he a parker? Does that happen in Truck Series? Do they just start and park?
So I'm worried about the guy starting last, Mr. Lawless Allen. First off, he's lawless, so he's going to be turning right. He's going to be turning up.
He doesn't give a shit.
No one's rules. He's probably going to get hella penalty.
His car should say, "I don't give a fuck" on it. Just like
he's
that's
also in the 34 truck, the Ram truck that started to park this race here last year.
Yeah, I mean, hell no.
That's a little bit of a red flag there.
I don't need any of that. And Larkin's boy Jason White also in one of these in Reum cars. I don't like any of that.
The better Reum one at least, but still, I'd definitely rather take. I'd almost rather take White, but he started up farther. White does have experience. He raced the last 2 Bowmanville truck races.
Can I
middling success?
Am I just avoiding all of this garbage here? Do I need these 5K guys on this track?
I'm personally looking at Austin Wayne Self because he does really well at road courses in particular, and nobody in the world is going to own him. He's at 3% ownership rate. His last 5 road course finishes, and he's raced 5, is 11th, 14th, 21st, 9th, and 15th.
I mean, starting 14th. He's starting a little high for me.
Yeah, but he's starting high enough to where no one will own him at all. So that's the appeal of that play, just for me personally.
What about some other turns? I want to squeeze in a lot of goodness into my lineups here. It feels like you probably want to hang around the 7K range. Is there any other reason? Purdy being like the bottom end of that group. What about this Dawson Cram guy? Is there anybody else down
Cram? But Cram has not done a road course race yet. You could consider Haley Deegan because
she's hot.
Under Route 4, she's hot. Oh. Yeah, like DJ Crosley equipment. That's not really that bad at all. You could. Norm Benning is someone you would not play because he's just gonna ride around the back. And I guess there was like Ultra Carnage he could work out, but that strategy for Benning has not been working out as much over the last year or so as it used to. He's been more inclined to park. My favorite play of the entire slate probably is Camden Murphy, who actually does have some experience at road course races.
Wait. Hold up. You're telling me your favorite play on this entire slate is $4,900 Camden Murphy?
Yeah. So he's in John Hunter Nemechek's car from previous years. So his car was driven by Mike Skeen last year. The Daytona road course, finished 23rd. But he's starting way back in 37th. I don't see a lot of people owning him, and he has some past Truck Series road course race experience.
And when you say your favorite play, you mean kind of like of the scrub group, right?
No, probably the entire slate.
Holy shit.
I find myself using the most, I think, just personally, because I don't think a lot of people realize the equipment that he's in. And he started back at 37th. And everyone else I see starting in the very, very back has some, outside of Mayer, I guess, who is probably just going to be the chalk. They all have some concerns about them. And even Mayer, he's a rookie himself, and he's not really a road course racer. He's more of a short track racer. There, Camden Murphy, I think he has at least enough experience to where I'd be comfortable using him. Pretty good amount.
Where's Mayer? How come I'm not seeing him on this list here?
He's up towards the top. He's one of the most
expensive. No, he's expensive. Oh, no, I'm talking about the cheapies. And what about Timmy Hill? You have him at 17% ownership.
Yeah.
But he kind of seems like a scrub. So what's good about him?
So it's hard to know with Timmy. See, Tyler drove this race last year for them in this car, and he came 16th. So I'd be very cautiously optimistic about using Timmy Hill here, but he has never driven a road course at Daytona or in the Truck Series in general.
But has he driven has he raced in like Xfinity in a road course?
I think he did the Cup Series in Xfinity. Hold on, let me check on that real quick.
Like, as long as a guy's ever been on a road course, I think it's, you have at least some data. 500. When you see a 500 odds, and then you see guys with no odds, does that mean they're like they're worse?
29th in Cup Series last year at this race.
Okay. In Cup Series,
I don't think he did the one in Xfinity last year. So he's not really want to seek out the road courses, but I'd still use him a good amount. 34 starting position. I'm just more interested in Murphy, who I know at least has some experience, and I think that equipment is way better.
I think I haven't tried putting lineups together, and we're going to end this here momentarily, but I haven't tried putting lineups together, but I'm trying to see if I'm going to feel the need to squeeze in one of these 4K, 5K types, or does the proper lineup construction really involve getting like 2 or 3 of this group and then paying up for, the Sam Mayers and the Shelly Creeds and like a couple of these guys. I want to see how it all fits together, but I really won't know until I'm seeing actual completed line. Like this lineup right here, as you see what the Dom station wants to do, it doesn't want to go down to that zone. It wants to hang in the 7Ks and then fill it in with a Moffitt or a
there's so many place differential plays. You're gonna get nothing but chalk from the DS.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it's like, it's a little chalk, but there's so many of them. I think the biggest thing for me as I'm making these lineups is going to be controlling it for exposures more than anything else. As one
definitely. Whoa! I don't know what just happened to your mic, but it just went to the netherworld.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, that was weird. I don't know. But
Yeah.
as I hit 150, like notice, the exposures are going to go bananas on some of these guys. So I think that a big part of this is just going to be
limiting and spreading out.
Don't do that, man. Don't do this. I don't think that's the move, Andy K. You could,
probably not, because
there are other ways.
Expensive place differential plays you need.
Yeah, this would not be the move.
It's not like Daytona. You can actually make a lot of good lineups that use all the salary this week.
Or very close, like the top line of 49.9, 49.7. You're getting a lot of good. I don't mind doing that strategy on occasion, and definitely love it on Daytona. But, listen, lineup number 4 is only spending 48.8. The projections are working this out for you to where you don't need to do that. I'd rather control exposures differently. Pasquale had his steering wheel explode on fire in Daytona, or else he was looking really good.
Yeah, he was on fire that whole race, let me tell you.
He got
me all those lead laps.
Oh man, I was so pissed when I was like, whoa! I was so over the field. But is this car gonna explode on us, or he's in a better truck that can make it around the track here?
He's in middling equipment, I would say, to put it nicely. He's in Fogelman's car from last year, which we saw get like 4 or 5 top 10 finishes. We also saw him eat shit, as a rookie. And Young's is the same team that, guys like Spencer Boyd have driven in, got a win at, although it's kind of a crap win. But usually you see him running around the 20th place or so. It's that kind of equipment, Gustine, that team. If there's a random person out here who's really who's trophy chasing tonight, looking for some low-owned guys, like super, super low-owned guys. The car that got the most fantasy points last year at this race was actually Danny Bowen's car, number 30 On Point Toyota, driven by Scott Legacy, of course. He started 30th, came 9th. He's starting 15th, with projected 2% ownership. Someone like that. Someone like
he's not doing it this time from 15th place. It's a big ass.
Carnage on the table,
Yeah, it's a big ass. How much carnage are we going to see? I need to know exactly how much carnage.
If I knew that would be wonderful information to know. People could just play it really tight and really safe and go really slow. Again, who knows? With the only race we've seen here this season so far is in the Cup Series, and it was an exhibition race, so no one had anything to lose. Yeah, you'd figure if you're lacking experience in a lot of these guys, the carnage level is going to be pretty high.
The truck carnage overall, my recollection from last year is the Truck Series just has more carnage in general. Like every race, these trucks are just not as stable as a car. It's a fucking pickup truck, like you're driving a less stable machine, period. And so they just tend to float around a little bit more and be a little more slippy out there. Less money back in these trucks too, compared to other things.
For what it's worth, there were only 5 cautions last year, and 2 of those were for stages.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, those cautions only last 1 lap because the laps are so long. So we'll have all the fast laps being handed out this week.
Yeah, and you don't see like one accident take out 10 cars. That's the difference. No. It's like one guy or maybe 2 in a spin out.
An accident take out 2 cars, but the green flag continues. Yeah, that's a lot of what you may see here.
Interesting. All right, man. Let's wrap it up there, guys. Let's get to lineup construction. We will do another one of these for the Sunday. That we won't be back for. Hey, can't do everything. We'll do another one of these for NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday. Truck Series race, awesome. For now, for Cup Series. So for now, let's enjoy tonight's carnage.
Yeah.
And violence. I'm looking forward to it.
Probably just a lot of spin outs. This is what we're probably expecting here going forward.
A lot of spins. A lot of spin outs, guys. A lot of carnage. One last question for the field here. You've got Ryan Truex. How about Carson Hovacar? He's starting 3rd overall. Should we start him? I actually want to consult our oracle for this one. Should I mess with Ryan Truex or Carson Hovacar? Or what about Corey Roper? Any of these 3 guys startable? Oh, Swami of DFS.
Not even Ross Chastain's car could save Carson Hocevar starting third. That's with the points qualifying or whatever the heck you got from last week that caused Truex to start second, Roper to start sixth, Hocevar to start third, Rohrbaugh to start seventh. A lot of hell no's on the slate.
I've got actually a less sure thing question for the Oracle of DFS. What about Ben Rhodes? I mean, he's not a bad driver. He's starting first overall, could dominate a little bit. What do you say about him?
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Listen.
I got to be honest, I wasn't expecting that.
Bro would have to lead every lap.
I just wasn't expecting the Swami to come back with a hell no for Ben Rhodes, but it is what it is, guys. All right, that's going to wrap it up. We'll be back like I said, a couple days. We're going to take care of you early on in the NASCAR season with some of these podcast breakdowns. Learn how to do it, and then we're going to set you free and let you do it on your own. Just using the cheat sheets. We got the cheat sheets rolling. I believe Larkin and Brady both put awesome cheat sheets together for this, so it breaks it all down for you in a really, really easy way. I love NASCAR DFS with DFS Army, guys, so let's keep smashing these contests. Taco, thanks for jumping on. We'll see you guys next time.